Greetings and hello, and welcome back to the channel. The way I'm going to approach this one is to tell you how I would do something, in the hope that you'll be able to at least extrapolate something from that description and take something away from the content. So today is all about how I approach a new location. I'm on the north beach of Thirlmere in the Lake District. It was raining, and raining quite hard. It's now literally just stopped and it's cleared and the sky is brightening. The forecast for today did say it was going to rain, so I knew that that was going to happen, and that the skies would clear, and they're supposed to clear completely by about 4 o'clock this afternoon. So, why North Beach on Thirlmere? Well, why not in the first instance? But so why North Beach? It's very accessible, very easy to get to. There's a little parking lay-by not too far away. I've seen videos taken from here and recorded from here, and they look very successful, look quite atmospheric, and taken in conditions very similar to what I'm experiencing right now. But apart from those videos, that's it. That's the only research that I've done. Oh, and where to park. So now I'm seeing this place for the very first time with my own eyes, as opposed to through somebody else's eyes or through a videographer's eyes. And yeah, it's quite challenging. So the first thing I'm going to do is have a bit of a wander, and I will always do that in a new location. Just put my boots on and go for a wander, and that's what I'm going to do. And as I'm wandering around, I'm going to try and take the place in and absorb the place, not only what my eyes can see, but also what I can feel on my skin, what I can hear in my ears, what I can stand on, touch and taste, and all those other senses get thrown in there as well. So that's my first tip, if you like, with regard to a new location. Have a little bit of a wander, but just be aware of what the senses are experiencing. So let's go and do that first. So I've wandered the shoreline from where I started, almost all the way around, and I've actually come back to the point where I started, where I first did the introduction. There's a tree out on the headland, or what I assume is a piece of the shoreline that sticks out, that it's very, very prominent. It's got a couple of trees on it that lean in, and that sort of piqued my interest in terms of a point of interest in the landscape. But it came down to it on itself wasn't quite enough, because what am I experiencing? So the air is damp, it's slightly cold, it's not very warm anyway. I can see up on, I think that's Raven Crag up there. Let me tilt the camera up. You see Raven Crag up there. I think that's Raven Crag. There's cloud up on the top of Raven Crag, so there's low level cloud sweeping through the landscape. So I'm feeling cold, I'm feeling slightly damp. It's quite bright. Okay, great. So how do I encapsulate that in an image? And it's taken me that wandering to work out what's going on with me as an individual, but then to also look at what's going on around me and see what I can find that somehow grabs that moment and creates a memorable image. And that's kind of why I've come back to the point where I started, principally because of that tree that's leaning in the landscape. Now let me just spin the camera around. There we go. Right, so I cannot zoom in on this camera, which is a little bit of a shame, but I can't. So the tree that I was referring to is here in the frame. It just leans in and acts as an anchor, pointing the observer into the content. Over here, where's my finger gone? The moving finger. I've got low-level cloud sweeping through the tops of what look like to be pine trees or fir trees of some description. The water is very pale in colour in comparison to everything else around it, so it's almost blue. So that's putting across hopefully that feeling of cold, maybe of exposure. There's also an awful lot going on up in the sky, so it felt right for the sky to have a predominant voice. In fact, there's a lovely bit of low cloud sweeping through those trees right now, so I'm just going to grab an image quickly while I can. And combining those elements together, I felt created an image that summarized what it felt like to stand here and look at that scene for real. Now if I was being super critical, I'd want all of that tree to have its own space. I just can't do that. What would be lovely would be to actually have a bank of low cloud behind it, but I don't think I'm going to get that because one of the lower branches interferes with the fell beyond. Now I might be able to do something with that in post, just to kind of remove the impact, but for the moment I'm just going to have to make do. But the top part of the tree sticks up into the clouds, points the observer up into the drama that's going on up there, and hopefully the low-level cloud that's embracing the fell side on the right, so this bit here just adds to the atmosphere and informs the viewer as to the kind of atmospheric conditions that I'm actually experiencing right at this moment in time. So I'm just going to hang around here for a bit actually and see whether that low-level cloud actually plays ball and allows me to isolate that tree just a little bit more. There's a saying, isn't there, that fortune favours the brave, although there's nothing particularly brave about standing out here on a damp lake shore. But as I finished doing the original piece just now, I could feel raindrops on my skin, and I think there was a passing shower out in the distance out there, and that just helped to single out that tree a little bit more and allow it to have a little bit more space, which is good. What I lost was the clouds sweeping through the landscape on the left hand side, but what I gained was that indistinct, misty impression that you get when you're looking at rain from a distance. So I'm hoping that that's powerful enough to still put across the notion of exposure and the fact that it is a bit moist and a bit damp out here. And I think that's it, really. There's nothing really more complicated than that. In terms of post-processing, I'm probably thinking black and white, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. I keep looking at the and the scene to see whether it changes, but there isn't really a huge amount of colour in the scene in the first place. I think black and white is a hugely powerful vehicle to translate atmosphere and mood, because it removes the distraction of colour and just encourages the observer to concentrate on form and texture and what's actually going on, rather than, you know, ooh, gorgeous colours. So yeah, it really is no more complicated than having a wander around, working out what it is that your own senses are tuning into, and then finding a composition, finding a combination of elements that somehow encapsulates what's happening to you for real. And that's precisely what's happened today. So yeah, I'm going to call it there, because I found my view, I found my combination of elements. I waited for the combination of atmosphere to come together, and yeah, hopefully I've come away with a decent image that encapsulates this moment at this time and its impact on me as the photographer. So I'm going to call it there. Thank you very much for watching. I know it's been a bit of a short one, but I hope it's been useful. If you're not a subscriber, please do consider clicking on the subscribe button below, and if you click on the bell icon, then you'll get notification as to when I add a new video. Until then, enjoy your photography, and I shall see you on the next video.